It's hard to say what inspires an artist. Maybe it's a sunset, or a child's laugh, or a soothing ocean current. Or, as Oklahoma traveler Scott Thompson found in Gage, maybe it's a junkyard.
Another piece of oil field scrap has captured Jim Power's fancy. And in a shower of sparks, like the grandest 4th of July, he'll transform it. Suddenly, it's springtime in Jim's world.
I don't know if I will put stained glass in it or not yet. But we can have the butterfly 2 or 3 different ways.
Jim put a sign outside his place. He calls it his Metal Art Museum. You'll see it alongside Highway 15. Of course, you may notice the huge dinosaurs before you notice the sign. Jim made those out of wheel rims, mostly. There might be a water heater or 2 thrown in. But getting back to Jim's sign, it was some of his artsy friends who suggested the name.
They said, you kind of need to get the word junk off and call it metal art. And that sounds better, I guess, but it, true to fact, it's junk.
See, Jim doesn't think there's anything wrong with appreciating junk. It's junk that gives his life joy and has always given him a paycheck.
This used to be a scrapyard.
Yeah.
Now
yeah.
It's your display garden.
Well, yeah, it's kind of a little old country, backwoods type museum. Anyways, it's a place for me to display some of my work.
As soon as Jim stopped selling junk 7 years ago, he started cutting it up and welding it back together and making the most wonderful creations out of tailpipes and battery wire and fan belts.
Instead of just me throwing the junk pile, now it's a work of art.
And ever since the folks from Ripley's Believe It or Not bought one of Jim's elephants for their Atlantic City museum.
Come to find out, that's in New Jersey. I always thought Atlantic City was in Georgia, you know.
His junky giant bugs and rocket ships and pterodactyls have become world travelers.
Well, let's see, the buffalo went to Copenhagen. There's a bird in Australia and a bird in Great Yarmouth, England. I think there's a dinosaur in the Philippines, praying mantis in Thailand.
And one of his birds, made of a shovel, flew across the road and sits atop the Gage water tower.
Well, I don't know. Maybe it's a weird imagination. I don't know.
This was what? What'd that start at?
That was an old hot water tank. Now it's some flowers, and people have been buying those.
Now, even though Jim's been dubbed the Junkyard Picasso, he's still flabbergasted when folks track him down way out here in Gage.
You wouldn't think it. Well, like yourself, coming from Tulsa, I wouldn't have never thought that, you know. So.
Though where else but the dusty Metal Arts Museum could we ponder, her?
Now, you had her outside where people could see her.
Yeah.
And what happened?
They asked me to move her in.
How come?
She's a little bit out of proportion, I guess. I don't know. I don't know much about what a submarine looks like. That's kind of my idea. So I call it abstract.
And Jim works in cubism, contemporary, dabbles in painting.
Oh, realism's still my favorite. Well, I was kind of told not to force motion onto art. Nothing but an old scoop shovel, a couple of size, and pelvic bone off of a cow and a pitchfork. But I got me a water fountain. One of my friends that works for the county found this in the bar desk. He's been grading it back and forth. He finally brung it to me. Well, it has all the shapes the work of art's supposed to have in it.
So to every forgotten hay grinder and combine pulley, washing machine motor and tractor seat, take heart. There's more to life than rust. The Junkyard Picasso wants to make you beautiful.
Junk don't have to look bad. Just most people seem like go to a lot of trouble to make it look bad.
In Gage, Scott Thompson, the Oklahoma Traveler.
What an imagination. That is something.
It's quite an unusual talent. I'm amazed that he remembers some of the old things he melted down. He's got so many of his creations out there.
Well.